Howdy, y'all. Welcome to the Booth Western Art Museum. My name is Miss Lynette. I'm the Education Outreach Coordinator at the Booth Museum, and I am so excited to be joining y'all again for another live art lesson today. I'm in the Members Lounge today, which I will actually show you some shot of in a second because it's a very cool room, so I want y'all to be able to experience that. So today I'm very excited because we are going to be drawing something that if you come to the museum, you will not see one, you will not see two, you will see many of these all throughout the museum and our collection. We're going to be drawing a canyon today. So we're bridging into some landscape. We're going to talk about atmospheric perspective. And so today, more than ever, my initial kind of guidelines and that I give y'all apply more than ever. You really don't need any fancy materials to do these drawings. If all you have is a pencil and a piece of paper, that's perfect. I drew this one with crayons, which I'm going to do again today because I'm into the crayons. I like drawing with the crayons right now. So, you don't need any fancy supplies. Yours does not have to look like mine, especially today when we're drawing landscapes because, landscapes, you can draw them differently, especially because we're talking about an artist today who has painted canyons over and over and over again, and they still don't get tired of painting them. So you can paint this however you want, or draw. Maybe you are painting though, don't let me stop you. And finally, let's see. So yours doesn't have to look like mine. I'm going to do mine a little bit differently than I did this. And then just have fun with this. I hope you guys are going to have fun with the drawing today. Enjoy the process, the practicing of getting better with our artistic skills. So, without further ado, I'm going to flip around my camera, but you're not going to get a shot of the ceiling today. Crazy. Because I want to flip it around and show you the room I'm in. Here we go. So this is the Members Lounge at the museum, and so these panels are paintings by different artists. So when they come to visit the museum, we ask them to sometimes do little paintings like this for us to look at, and they're so fun. It's very exciting being surrounded by art today as I am working on my project. So today, I was saying that when you come to the museum, you will see paintings like this. These are some of my favorite paintings that we have at the museum. This one is called Dangerous Trail by William R. Lee, which is a very beautiful painting. I love the way the sky looks. This printout is not doing it justice, but it always has the speckled look. And then you can see from this horse falling that the canyon is a very dangerous place, but it's also tall with these orange rocks everywhere. And this is another one I really love. It is very big painting by Bill Hughes called Canyon Passages, and you can see this man walking with his donkey through this passage in the canyon, and then you also see how vibrant the valley of the canyon is with the trees and the water running through it. So these are some paintings I wanted to show you just to give you a little idea of some of the paintings we have at the museum. But the one I really wanted to talk about is this one by an artist named Kurt Walters called Antelope Ruins Overlook. Now this painting is so beautiful, isn't it? I love this painting. And Kurt Walters has been creating art. He always wanted to be an artist. And he was actually named one of the 8 greatest masters of Western art, which is crazy because there's a lot of Western artists. So to be named in like the top 10 is really an amazing feat. And he's best known for his paintings of the Grand Canyon. And he likes when he does his drawings to start with some shapes. Drawing shapes first and then going in with highlights and colors, doing value with lightness and darkness of the colors, But when he paints, I watched a few interviews by him, and he would talk about how he likes to paint the air quality, which sounds kind of weird because how do you paint air? You can't see air. But if you are using atmospheric perspective, you can. The air quality can show you that you see how these mountains in the back are kind of blue. That's what we call atmospheric perspective. So things that look like they're in the distance, if you look at mountains especially, they'll look more blue the further you get away. So that's kind of what he's talking about. Another really cool thing, though, that I wanted to mention, then we'll get into our drawing, is that Kurt Walters, so he goes to the Grand Canyon and he'll paint the same place in the Grand Canyon over and over again. And maybe he paints it 1 year and 5 years later he goes back and paints the same thing and then goes back and paints it again 10 years later. And he noticed that his paintings over time actually showed the air quality getting worse in the Grand Canyon. And this is partly because of air pollution. He noticed that the air quality wasn't as good, and he actually partnered with the Grand Canyon Trust to help protect and preserve and conserve the Grand Canyon. So I thought that was a really interesting fact that I wanted to share, and how art can help, environmental conservation and things like that. So without further ado, we're going to set this painting to the side, and we're going to get a start on our drawing. Now, let's see. So the very first thing that... I have to be careful not to knock the tripod today. So, the very first thing, because I'm basically going to be recreating Kurt Walters' artwork, because I really like how this looks, and I think it's one that's very easy to follow along with today. And the first thing is we're going to want to make this like curvy river that is running through the canyon. So how I did it is I started on like the left side of my paper over here towards the bottom, and I kind of went straight over. You're basically you're making an S, like a snake. So, but I'm drawing mine bottom to top. Here, let's do top to bottom, just so that's easier. So when you're drawing your S, we're going to start at the top. You're going to go straight this way, and then you're going to make a curve, and then you're going to make another curve right here and go off the page. And this is going to be your river. Now, you're going to want to draw another line. Basically, I'll do one right under this one to create your river. Now, one thing you can do to create perspective is you could make this top part skinnier. This top part skinnier than it is at the bottom. So... here we go. Let me show you kind of what I'm talking about here. So we can make, also there we go. I have to keep up with time better today because I don't have a clock where I'm at. Okay, here we go. Show you what I'm talking about here. There we go. So this is kind of what I'm talking about, where the top is a little bit skinnier than the bottom, just to give it that perspective of things going in the distance. Let's see. So now that we have our river in place, we need to draw our canyon. So you might see in Kurt Walters, he's got like a canyon kind of here in the front, and then a big one here in the back. So that's what we're going to draw next. So along the river, let's create like kind of a curvy line, and then kind of start going up like you're drawing a mountain. And here's the thing, if you overlap with your river over here and draw over it, that's okay because you can erase the river. And this overlapping is also going to create perspective to look like this mountain is in front of your river, and it's going to make it look like it's further back in space. If you can't tell, that's kind of our theme today. All right, so after you've created one canyon over here, you can kind of go in this area of the river to create a second one. I didn't give myself a ton of space, but that's okay. So I'm going to actually make my canyon go up and off the page here. And then this whole part of the river that I drew already, I'm going to erase that. Here we go. Ooh. Perfect. All right, so there we go. So now we've got two canyons, and then if you want, you can draw one back here in the back. And this one, I would just draw a horizontal or side-to-side line, and then you can draw another line back here, just to show that that's a canyon way, way, way out there in the back. Alrighty, so now that we have gotten, these are our big shapes that we're going to need for our drawing. So now what you can do is go in and start adding little details. So one thing that I wanted to show y'all with Kurt Walter's piece is actually, it's hard to see in this printout, but over here, there is actually, and I have another picture that's a little bit close up, there is actually some ancient ruins painted in the painting. Isn't that crazy? Look at this. So right here in the painting, over here in the corner, this little tiny bit is this is like a zoomed up picture. So these are, so this is called the Antelope House, I believe. Here, let me get to my correct points in my my notes here, just to make sure I get it right. Yes, so this is called Antelope House. It is an ancient Puebloan ruins and site, and we'll talk about that a little bit more later. But I wanted to point that out just because I think it's a really cool and interesting detail that Kurt added to his artwork. So I would encourage you, think about adding little things into your painting. Definitely I would add some trees or bushes down here. And I kind of draw my bushes and trees like little clouds. So you can draw some in here. Think about adding, do you want to add any animals in here? I kind of tried to add a little, like a horse over here. Another thing is the ruins that, here, let me draw a horse. Actually, I'm going to draw a horse over here. So the reason that it's called, Antelope House is because above the ruins there is some drawings of what look like antelopes above on the walls of the canyon. So you could even think about maybe adding some little symbols on the side of the canyon. Maybe I'll add some little people. And here I'll draw kind of what looks like little buildings. And you know, I'm actually going to draw, because one thing I know is that people actually still live here and they need to eat. So I'm going to draw some little corn stalks, like a little garden for them to have something to eat. And then I'm going to draw some more trees. I'm going to draw some trees over here. What else should I add? Maybe I should add some birds flying off in the distance. Here we go. I think that's good. Let's see if there's anything else I want to add. Ooh, maybe we'll add like a fish. Add a fish in our river swimming around. Here we go. I just draw like an oval and then a circle at the end for some fins. But just add whatever comes to your mind that you think would look really cool in your canyon. This is, I want to show that there's lots of life here, so that's why I want to add all these things. And here, notice that I'm drawing some trees here in the back, but they're smaller than the ones that I'm drawing in the front, just to add some of that detail. Let's see. There we go. Sorry, my camera wasn't focusing. Okay. So now that we have, I think this is all the details that I want to add, we can start coloring our artwork. Now I'm going to outline in my mind with Sharpie the lines so that you can see them better. But one thing I wanted to tell you, so this is the drawing I did ahead of time. I was feeling really wacky when I made this. And I was feeling very experimental. And I actually used every color of crayon that I had, which you might be thinking, what? Why did you use so many colors? Because I wanted to make mine look very colorful. And I was also looking at Kurt Walter's piece and noticed that it is very colorful as well. So I wanted to make the canyon look vibrant and full of life and bright and colorful. So I tried and fit every one of these in here, which I can try to do again, of course. I love using colors, so I have no issue with adding lots of fun colors in. But I am going to start. I got a little blue on my paper here. That's okay. I'm gonna color over it anyways. So I'm going to start outlining my artwork. And then let me tell you a little bit more about the Antelope House. So this canyon in this painting is actually called the Canyon de Chelly. It is a national monument located it is in the Navajo Nation, which here, let me grab my map really quick so you have an idea where that is. So here's a map of the United States. If you're where I am at the Booth Museum, you're kind of over here in Georgia, a little bit above Atlanta, and over here in Arizona, so this little dot right here is kind of where the Grand Canyon is, and this other dot right here is where Canyon de Chelly is in the Navajo Nation. So it is over there in that that northern Arizona area. Okay. Good. Just wanted to give you an idea where it is. And American Indians have been living in the American Southwest for thousands of years. You may remember in another video where we drew pueblos, that those pueblos have also been around for thousands and thousands of years, and people still live there today. So the ancient Puebloans found that the canyons, much like the ones that we are painting right now, were an ideal place to plant crops and raise families. So they were a really good place to live. And part of this is because, so as you can see, the bottom of this canyon, where we're kind of doing the most of our drawing in here, there's a river running through it. There's water, and of course we need water to drink, but also to plant crops and to raise animals. And it's also, so because there's water running through it, here we go, let me draw my horse. Because there's water running through it, also there's lots of plants, trees grow very easily. So it was a good place to settle down at the bottom of the canyon. And also the tall rocky walls around the canyon gave almost like a wall of protection. So the big walls could protect you from other people, from weather, from all sorts of things. So that was why people really like settling down inside the canyon. Go get my fishies. Alright. Let's see, do I have any other fun facts? Let's see. Oh, I think the other thing that's very cool is that people still live in the canyon today. The Canyon de Chelly is a national monument, but people, lots of Navajo families still live there. So it's a very historic place that has a lot of tradition and a lot of culture set in it. And then also a place where people are still around. So I think it's very cool that there are places like this. All right, I'm almost done with my outlining. Here we go. Yes, and also the reason, like I said, that it's called Antelope House is because above kind of where the ruins are in the cliff, there are some drawings of antelopes. Let's see how we're doing. Excellent. Okay, so now I'm going to start coloring mine, and I'm going to walk through some of the ways that you can show atmospheric perspective in your drawing. Now, one thing that I tried to do in this artwork that basically will work in any drawing you do is basically you can make the things that are closest to you more brightly colored, and the things that are further away a little bit more dull, and even adding some of that blue tint in there. So I'll kind of show you what I'm talking about. So I'm going to start by, let's see, what actually should I start? What actually should I start by doing? I'm actually going to draw the river first. And I'm actually, let's see, let's get like a gray. I'm going to color my fish in gray. really quick. And then I'm gonna use this light blue to start with. And I'm gonna go ahead and color in my river. Let's start from the back here. And I'm using kind of a lighter, it's not the brightest blue in the world, which will be good. So here we go. We've got the blue for our river. And now what I'm gonna do is doesn't have the paper on it, but this is a normal blue, and I'm gonna go back in and add some brighter blue to the part of the water that is closest to us. There we go. And then you can add some as you go further back, but I'm not gonna add any to the part of the river that's way, way, way away from us. And I'm even actually now going to go in and add some teal to what's very closest to us. Here we go. So there you go. So see, that already kind of gives, I think, a sense of perspective. And now let's go back to our canyon over here, now that we've got the river in place. So for the canyon, you're going to want to pull out all of your oranges, your warm colors, your reds. Now, if you look at a canyon, a lot of times they have lines basically going up and down, like these right here to show these big jagged rocks. They also have lines that go side to side that show the layers of rock. So when you're drawing, I would make some lines going up and down and some going side to side, just so you have a combination. But first, I'm going to do a really light layer of orange all over my canyon. Go. I just want to go ahead and get this is kind of like a base coat. Get my base in here. And then I'll go back in with some other colors. Let's see, there we go. And I'm actually going to get my little broken brown that I have and create some of those up and down lines to create the jagged part of the rock. Go. Perfect. Just creating those up and down lines. And then I can even have some going side to side like this. There we go. There we go. Awesome. And then you can even go in with a red and kind of make these lines darker just to make the lines look a little bit more bright. You can also go in, it's crazy, you can go in with some purple even and add some purple to these brown lines. There we go. I'm just showing you the ways that that I was able to add loads and loads of color into my last one. Okay, so now you can go in and you can start filling this in more with some yellow to make it look brighter. You just want to layer and layer and layer all over your drawing. Tons and tons of layer. All right. Now, another thing you can also do is I noticed when I was looking at Kurt Walter's pieces that there's also some kind of green dots. So it's like grass and shrubs at the very top of the canyon. So if you want, you could also add that. Some stippling here. It's what we call this when we do little dots on our artwork. It adds texture. Okay, so now that we've done that, you can also go in and start coloring in some of your trees. I'm using a lighter green. And then I'll go in with a little bit of a darker green after that. And then I'll also show you how I colored the river after I get my trees colored in here. There we go. I'm just adding a little bit of darker green in here. You know, there's some people who think you gotta have really fancy art supplies to make the best, most professional artwork. But that's just not true. It's just not true. Now, I'm going to show you, so if you look at my artwork, Kurt Walters didn't necessarily do this because this is probably more accurate to what it looks like with like a brown water and then kind of brown sand dirt around it with some green. I decided to make what's right next to the river, the ground, very green, and then have it be more orangey dirt as you get further away. So how you would do this is do like a stripe of green. I'll do it here at the bottom. Do like a stripe of green closest to the river. And get a lighter green and do another stripe. And then you can transition to yellow. Do like a stripe of yellow. And then you can grab, I'm using like a lighter orange after that. And look at that, you've made like a little transition from green to yellow to orange. And there it looks very cool. Excellent. Okay, so how are we doing on time? We need to wrap up. Okay, so let me really quickly show you. I won't get to finish this one because there's a lot of parts in with it today. But let me show you kind of how to do the atmospheric perspective in the back, and then I'll let you go. So the idea is that this mountain up front is basically the brightest one. And then this one's going to be like still bright, but less bright. And then the one back here, you want to be like the least bright. So we'll kind of add some orange in here. Here we go. But then one thing you can do to make it look less orangey is to add a little bit of blue in there. Whoa, isn't that crazy? And then for this one way in the back, this brown's a little bit brighter than I wanted it to be, though. That's okay. So the idea is that I'm using a brown instead of a bright orange, and then you can go in and color on top of it with like a blue, and it's going to create kind of like a, it's not a very pretty color, I would say, but it's going to make your artwork look very realistic in how the way that you've colored it to make it look like this is duller than everything in the front. Alrighty. Well, before I go, let's see, I'm going to need to write my name on it. I hope you remember to write your name on it more than I do. Alright. So, I am going to flip my camera around, and I hope you stick with me for a second because I have something very important to tell you. Here we go. Alright, and I saw somebody in the comments say that they were really hoping that everyone shares their finished artwork today, and I do too because I love seeing what y'all create. I will post mine once I finish it, before lunchtime. And I hope that you can share it to the comment of this video. You can use our hashtag Booth Museum on any of your social media and we will see it. But send it to us because we love seeing your artwork. But the big announcement that I have today, which some of you may not be happy about, but this is going to be my last weekly lesson with y'all. I know we've been doing so many lessons for so long and I'm going to miss seeing y'all as often, but because we are getting to the end of summer and school's going to be starting back soon, not everybody is going to be able to join us in the mornings anymore because we all have to go to school. Which school is good for you, so don't be skipping out on school to do these art lessons, and we're going to help you with that because we're going to start going to monthly lessons, so we will still continue to have them, just not as often. And the first one we are going to have is going to be on Saturday, August 22nd at 10 a.m. So we're going to do a Saturday lesson in the morning so you can sleep in a little bit after school on Friday and then wake up and join us for a drawing. And August 22nd is very exciting for me because that's my birthday. So y'all get to join me on a special birthday art lesson. And I believe we're going to be drawing, it sounds weird, but we're going to be drawing some corn stalks because they are very enriched in American Indian and also Navajo traditions. So we're going to get to hear about some cool stories and do some fun art together. So I'm really looking forward to that lesson, and I hope y'all will join me again after in a couple of weeks for that. But I'm going to wrap us up for today. And thank y'all so much again for joining me and the Booth Western Art Museum as we work to share America's story. And I hope to see you again soon. So have a great day. Bye.